Alrighty. One. Okay, we're live. We're here. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you all so much for being here on this Friday evening. And we are back again with the Bandit Cam. And I kid you not, I also messed up my eyeliner a little bit. Oh, it's on that side. You guys can't really see it. Never mind. Don't pay attention to this eye. Eyeliner got messed up. I might fix it later at some point just to talk about how I do eyeliner. We're not fixing it right now. I kid you not, like 2 minutes before I was about to start streaming, she just walks over and lays down in the bed. Like, she's like, I know it's time. I know it's time for me to be on camera. So she's hanging out in there in her little bed. Was she in the bed last time? I don't think she was. I don't think she was in the bandit bed. But now she is. Now she's hanging out. Now she's taking a little nap. And there she will stay for the remainder of the stream, probably, because that's her jam. She gets snappy and she's like, I'm gonna take a nap right here. Can't stop me. She was on the floor last time. You're right. Hey, Norris, you are not late. You are right on time. You are here. Oh, it looks like is my stream buffering? Let me check. YouTube's having a moment. Okay, I can't tell. Unless somebody starts saying they can't see me. Okay, maybe it's just on mine. I don't know what's going on with that. I guess I could refresh it. That might be a bad idea. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, I just had to refresh my browser. Okay, that was totally on me. That was totally on me. So, all right, happy Friday, everyone. Glad you could be here. Thank you so much for the early crew for being here early. Hello, Twixie. Hello, Belfry Ghost. Hello, Mark Anthony. Hello, Matthew. Hello, Alexandria. Hello, Devil Avi. Hello, Hellhound. Hello, Day. Hello, Hills Violet. Hello, Palo Kitty. Hello, Chan Chan. Hello, Kaseto Kaiba. Hello, Harley. Hello, Vin. Hello, Angel. Hello, and Kaylee. And Kaylee19. I don't think I've said that one out loud before. Long time no see. Been having 6-day work weeks at the grocery store. Oh, I remember those days. I worked in the deli at a grocery for a long time. Well, actually, a long time ago. A long time ago, I guess I'll say. And yeah, no, those work schedules are nutso. Like, there'd be so many times when I would know the day before the start of the next week what my schedule was going to be, and it was always something absolutely nuts. It was always just completely nuts. Hello, Booper. Hello, Irby. Hello, Doug. Hello, Siobhan. Hello, Rob. Hello, Olivier. You're in the deli? All right, deli team for life. Deli team for life. Do you have to do like the food prep in the morning? That's what I did. I was always there really early in the morning to like prep stuff. That was like my main job. I had weird work hours, and my two main coworkers were two like older Vietnamese ladies, and they were awesome. It was us, and then like the guy who came in to make sushi, and then we would just hang out at like 4 a.m. It was always like weird though, because like you wouldn't think that 4 a.m. would be like a really busy time for a grocery store, but somehow there's never enough time to get everything done. Weird how that works. And then there'd be random people coming in at 5 a.m. to get stuff because it was a 24-hour grocery store. Those are a bad idea. They're good for customers and sucky for everyone else. That's my opinion. That's my opinion on grocery stores that you're all dying to hear, I'm sure. Somebody typed hi and got timed out. It says stop spamming words or phrases. I will do that if it happens again. But Nightbot is really good at catching spam bots, so I will just monitor it. I know it gets touchy if you use like too many emojis. That would be like the main thing to watch out for. Honestly, usually the 4 a.m. people, the 4 or 5 a.m. people are like the people that wake up really early to go to work. The people that would like, they'd wake up they go get like something for lunch for that day at work, and then they'd go to like the gym and work out. Like they were like the overachieving types is what I would probably say. It definitely has its advantages being at a 24-hour grocery store. Like, I just wish that they had more people, honestly. That was like my main complaint. Like, it would have been really awesome if there were just more people working. But there were never enough people, and that was the problem. That was the problem. So I'm going to let people on Twitter know that we're streaming. So today, for topics, we just have so much that we could talk about, and like, let me know. So actually, before that, I'll do the spiel. I'll do the spiel first before we go over the topics. Got to make sure everyone's on the same page about the stream before we start putting it out there, you know? Okay, so I forgot to do the rules last time, so we're definitely doing them this time. So just really briefly, for anyone that's new, coming back after a while, I just want to make sure everyone is refreshed and is knowledgeable about what's happening here. This is an interactive Q&A. We usually focus on subject related to relationships, BDSM, kink, sexuality, asexuality, all of the above. Sometimes we just rant for like 20 minutes. Oh, thank you, Booper. Yes, and speaking of that, there are super chats down below if you want to do that, or you can go through Streamlabs, and it's a good way to get your question highlighted. We don't always go over every topic that is highlighted in the stream, in the title at least. That is just my best guess about what I think people are going to want to talk about. Sometimes I will rant. Sometimes I will rave. Sometimes we talk about and we get into like a really good conversation about like a particular relationship issue or something with like rules or punishments or like a common like BDSM hot topic. It just totally depends. And you can ask anything that you want. I do answer questions in the order they come in. So I always recommend being here early, asking your question as soon as possible, because I can't guarantee I will see it or get to it if we're like an hour and a half into the stream. And these do normally last for about 2 hours. And it will definitely be 2 hours today because I have been talking a lot today. I had a weird medical thing earlier today in the last like kind of week going on. So I am planning to do this stream and then read a book and take a bath and stop talking. So get in while my voice is still operating. That would be my bet. And then just really quickly as well, this is an 18 plus only stream. So if you're not at least 18, please do not be here. That is for everyone's safety, your safety, my safety, everyone's safety, just because mixing minors, adults, kink, BDSM, sex talk together, not a good idea. We don't want to do that. So that is really important. And then there's a set of rules and FAQ down below. Really simple, basically, you know, don't reveal your exact geographic location. Don't spam the chat. Don't repeat a question 15 times because I'm not going to answer it. And just be respectful. I'm not going to give medical advice, mental health advice. If you have questions about like, is ketamine the right treatment for my resistant to treatment depression? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've never done that before. I have no idea. Ask a doctor. I cannot tell you if your whatever from a scene you did last week is infected, or what to do when you get nerve damage, or anything like that. That is not in my purview. That is not in my wheelhouse. So please do not ask me. But that is basically it. We're going to have fun, here to have a good time, be respectful, and everyone here is pretty much a good egg. I'm sure we have a few naughty eggs in here, but for the most part, we're good eggs. Do we have any bad noodles? Do we have any like SpongeBob boating school? I'm a bad noodle. Do we have any like bad noodles in the chat? Or are we a good noodles? Are we good noodles or bad noodles today? I don't know why I'm deciding. I don't know why. What is this attitude I'm currently have? I don't know. But we're going with it. We're sticking with it. All right, let's get to some questions. Let us get to some questions. Honestly, I'm like really in the mood for like, I want to go to a dance club. I don't even necessarily want to go to a BDSM club. I really want to go. I so miss going to like goth, EBM, like rave type, not even raves. Honestly, I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to even drink. I just want to like go and dance somewhere. And I haven't done that in so long and I really miss it. That's my vibe. I would really love to do that. Hopefully at some point in the near future. Are we traveling to Venus today? Why would we travel to Venus? What's there? Venus was my favorite planet as a child, though, FYI. If I had to pick a favorite planet, it was Venus. I don't know why that information is relevant, but there you go. It'll be in a trivia question at some point in the future. Fun party with glow sticks, sparklers, and Skrillex. Oh, that takes me back. I do wonder at what point that's going to become retro. You know, because when I was in high school, like end of high school, beginning of college, that was like peak dubstep. I would say dubstep peaked like end of my sophomore year of high school into like the beginning of my sophomore year of college, like that kind of like 4-year time period. That was like everything was all Skrillex and Bad Mouse, and I don't even know what else, honestly. Also, you guys can't hear it, but my dog is snoring and it's very cute. She's quiet now. It was very cute though. He had to be there. And now it's just like not a thing anymore. I feel like we've really transitioned musically in pop culture to like much more of sort of like reggaeton like inspired, like kind of like tropical calypso music inspired R&B, which is like a very interesting combination of things, and then just like the standard pop that's always been around. Now I'm imagining the final countdown with a dubstep drop. You have to know that exists. That is absolutely a thing for sure. What is that going to be retro though? What is dubstep going to be? Like, is it going to be Generation Alpha, like the next generation after Generation Z? Like, are they going to be the ones that are like, oh, dubstep, that's my favorite. I grew up to dubstep. I listened to dubstep when I was a baby. Like, just imagine a parent. Imagine a parent with a toddler who just, they don't play the Wiggles or anything, or like nursery rhymes. It's just dubstep. What would that do to a child developmentally, I wonder? Like, does that impact your brain development? Are you supposed to listen to like classical music and stuff? As a baby, isn't that what's supposed to make your brain huge? Nightbot is being aggressive. Okay, I'm watching it though. I haven't seen it do anything crazy. I'll keep an eye on it though. Oh, thank you. New to your channel. Absolutely love it. We really have a lot of new people coming in. I would say from my video with Andrew Tate and then the one that I did about my collar. I think actually the collar one probably was more like older viewers coming back. But definitely the Andrew Tate one, I got a lot of new people from that, which I'm really appreciative of. And I'm so glad that you guys are here and hopefully willing to learn. And I just hope that you're open-minded, and I'm excited to expand my audience beyond just the tiny BDSM corner of the internet. Perhaps just a little tiny bit. And also, I guess also the Andrew Callahan one, I think got a little bit of like a wider audience than just like my normal audience. So yeah, I have a video coming out about Blair White. I don't know if I'm going to have it be tomorrow. I should check so I can tell you guys. Is that video going to be tomorrow or Sunday? Can you tell me, YouTube, when this video got uploaded? Okay, so it's 25th, so today's 27th. So the 29th. So I was like almost, where did January go actually though? Where did January go? So the 29th, I'm having a video about Blair White come out because I can't stop myself from response and reaction videos. And honestly, I am very proud of this Blair White video. I spent so much time editing it, guys. And if you guys liked or thought it was educational, the last Blair White video that I did about the pet player, this is like that video times 5. Like it's like a complete breakdown, researched, like all of the stuff. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. Hopefully you guys are going to like it. And I am here to protect the people that Blair White unfortunately continues to misrepresent, and I don't want to disparage anyone or call anyone names or do anything like that. I tried really hard in, like, Andrew Tate, I'm fine being like, you're an idiot, I'm gonna dunk on you because you are a sad, strange little man. But with someone like Blair White, I try to not be the, like, angry SJW, blah, 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 blah. Like, I try, and maybe I shouldn't worry about it, but I try not to be that. I try to be very charitable and, like, all right, we're gonna hold your hand because I don't expect you to know about this thing. So, okay, just follow me. Look, okay, we're step 1, step 2. Okay, one foot in front of the other. Can we see where the logic is going? Like, I try really hard to be charitable. And this was a little bit hard for that video just because, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's about aged players and littles. Because Blair White has decided to make a video about them, but her title of the video doesn't say what that's about. And there's a lot of, like, assumptions, misrepresentations. Chris Hansen gets involved at some point because she just has him on speed dial, apparently. It's like a whole fiasco. And I was just like, all right, we're making a lot of assumptions. We're dragging in people that don't need to be involved in this. Okay, I gotta put my foot down because I'm tired of, like, smaller content creators and just internet people that aren't even content creators but are just on social media getting, you know, jumped on by, like, 500,000 Blair White fans, you know? Like, that doesn't seem very fair, does it? So I'm going to be here to hopefully help people be kinder and not just take what Blair says as fact, because it turns out not very much of what Blair White says is very factual. I'm sorry. I did the research. It doesn't really pan out. So that's my video coming up. And then I promise I'm going to take a break from 45-minute long breakdown, reaction, heavily edited things. I need a break. Y'all need a break. I can't do that shit twice a week. It's just too much. I can't do it twice a week. Between the research and the scripting and the filming and the editing and the checking on YouTube for copyright claims and takedown notices, it's too much. I just can't do it. Just cannot do it that often. So we're not. I do have one more video that I do want to do just to kind of wrap up this unexpected section on content planning. I am probably not, maybe this coming week. I didn't really plan everything I was going to do for this coming week. I may be doing a breakdown, reaction, whatever you want to call it, to a content creator that's like, he's kind of a manosphere person. He's not like an alpha male in the way that Andrew Tate is, but he's very much like that circle of the internet. And he literally has a video. Are you sitting down for this? You're going to want to be sitting down for this because the video is titled, "Women Pay to Fuck Them. BDSM Masters Explain How to Make Her Addicted to You." Like, you can't make this shit up. This is an actual title. And within the first 30 seconds, there is uncensored bare ass, titty, and nipples. I would get my channel deleted if I did that. I'm not kidding. My channel would be gone from the internet if I did that, okay? What? Ridiculous. So it's going to be a wild ride. Because, like, he basically is using his YouTube channel to sell extremely expensive courses where you pay to travel to, like, Budapest to meet with, you know, you're going to practice with BDSM masters, and don't bring your own partner, that's not allowed, because we're going to have 6 beautiful, hot, young, adventurous women here for you to explore with. That's called sex trafficking. You are sex trafficking Eastern European women for a BDSM master course. And I'm going to tell you that based on the description for the class that I read, because we went through this on my Patreon last night, I just kept scrolling. It's like, it's literally like probably the equivalent of like 20 pages of a Google Doc of text of just like about this course and transformation, and it was a lot. And at the very end, you have to call him to get a consultation to figure out if you're worthy of taking this course. And so it's probably at least like $5,000 because his paid course you can see a price for is $800. And it's not an all expense paid trip. Like, you got to pay for your own transportation, airline, food every day, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's no per diem. And they pay for the hotel room basically, and then for the event, and that's pretty much it. So it's a lot of money. It's just a lot. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what is going on with this. I hate when the clasp on a necklace shows. Is like my number one pet peeve. Hate it. Hate it. Anyways. Yeah, we okay? We don't like it either? Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. Anyways, that's what's going on in my content world. I don't mean to keep doing all these reaction videos. I don't know what it is. Every January and February for the last couple of years, just like a bunch of nut stuff has happened that's like related to BDSM. Like it was Armie Hammer and Marilyn Manson, Belle Delphine. And then this year, it's Andrew Tate, Andrew Callahan, Prince Andrew, all the Andrews. We are shutting down the name Andrew. We're not letting them into the country anymore until we can figure out what the hell's going on with the name Andrew, honestly. If you're an Andrew, I'm sorry. We're going to have to... You might want to think about going by your middle name, honestly, at this point. But... yeah, that's sort of my content plans for right now. And then hopefully by like March, I need to do a Marilyn Manson update video as well. Haven't done that yet, so got a lot on the docket for content coming up. Got a lot on the docket. Oh yeah, then he has a separate class. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, he has a separate class where it's like, oh no, do I go? Okay, where is that at? Oh yeah, he has one that's called Sex God or Simp. Are women even worth it? Cannot believe a human being said this. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. Like women are oranges that you turn into your juice in the morning. I haven't watched the video, so there is a possibility it's clickbait, and then in the video he's like, women are precious jewels that have to be valued above all else. And, you know, if you really want to love a woman, don't treat her like an orange. But I have my doubts. Yeah, he is just... And he has like a weird name for his channel as well. It's like alternative, like lifestyle something. The Natural Lifestyles. His YouTube channel name sounds like a condom brand. But then like... His channel art looks like the Daily Wire. Like it's a very weird, like it would be like if the Daily Wire had a condom brand and that would be his channel. It's very, yeah, it's certainly a lot. Oh, and of course he's in Estonia, even though he's an Australian. I'm sorry, is it weird of me to be suspicious of anyone, of like a man who's a pickup artist that moves to Eastern Europe? Is that bad? Should I not have that stereotype? I feel like it's justified based on Andrew Tate and others, but maybe that's too harsh. I just feel like there's gotta be something going on there.
Mr. Beansman donated $5. Hey Evie, lost my dungeon plans to a nasty cold.
Oh.
Nice to have the stream to get my through the night.
Oh yeah, for sure. So sorry about your cold. I have also been sick. You hear Bandit coughing. It's just like, it's a rough time. So glad you could be here. Sorry about your dungeon plans, and definitely hang out. Yeah, so the Natural Lifestyles, and I'm sorry for people on the Patreon live stream last night. I know we're kind of like repeating this, but it's literally called the Sex God Masterclass, a 7-day hands-on BDSM, Tantra, and advanced sexual masterclass. And here's another stereotype that I have. And maybe this is bad, but if a white man with long hair that is not from Eastern Europe, that's living in Eastern Europe, is telling me that he is an expert on tantric sex, I am instantly very suspicious. Highly suspicious. I just don't think that probably goes very well. I just don't. Where'd you learn about Tantra from? And then he has the most recent video he posted on his channel. And I don't know if it's still there, because honestly, I'd be like fucking shocked if it was still like allowed on the internet. It's called 10 Beck's Sex Positions Women Go Crazy For. And of course it has like 10 times as many views. It's like, his views are wild. Like, he'll have videos where he gets like 3,000 views and videos where he gets like 200,000 views. It's very bizarre. And Daily Wire condoms unlubricated because women don't get wet. Exactly. There you go. These are the jokes we live for. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they're all being brats right now as well. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, the 10 best sex position. We'll go crazier. I want to know how like revolutionary these things are. Listen, I'm asexual and I could intuitively figure most of these things out. It was like, what if you do missionary, but instead her legs go up like this instead of like this? Or what if you do, and this is wild, what if, I'm gonna wait for the, what if the woman is on top during, and then you're like laying down and then she's, who has ever thought of this before? Who has ever thought of what if the way you put the penis in is you're laying down and she's on, wow, the revolutionary information here. Like, but keep in mind, everything in this entire video is like graphic and descriptive, and it's like just completely out there on YouTube. I think it's fully monetized. It's like they're clothed, but like that's the only thing separating them from actually having sex. And like he chokes her at some points in the video. He fucking slaps her around. Like it's like, oh my dude, you're like, you just got a whole YouTube video out here where you're like, so tantric sex position number 8, which is definitely not a tantra thing. Tantric sex position number 8 is you being behind her, putting her in an arm bar, and then choking her from behind where you can't make eye contact with her and it's harder to hear her. Like, we're really out here just being like, this is the advice we're going to give young people that need to Google sex position ideas. Just choke your girl from behind while you have her arms pinned behind her. That's, every woman just loves that. Every woman just loves it. Right, ladies? Right, ladies in the chat? We all love it when our partners non-consensually choke us in the bedroom because they're trying to show off. Yep, that's definitely gets us wet every single time. Without a doubt. Always 80% of the time, or 100% of the time, or whatever that saying is. Is it from Anchorman? Yeah, it is a thing that people do. That person's monetized. One of my favorite YouTubers can't say the word butthole. I know, it's so weird, right? Like, I can't even link to like a psychologist blog talking about BDSM. Otherwise, a link gets instantly like red flagged and I get a channel strike over it. I get an actual channel strike for just linking to an academic resource. But you can have a 20-minute long explicit video detailing about how to choke somebody and have sex with them. Oh, Bandit's on the move. Oh, we're on the move. Where are we going, tiny dog? Oh, we're moving. Okay, we gotta adjust the camera here. Look at his smiling face. Look at his smiling face. He's so cute. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, wait, I gotta take your collar off. You're gonna jingle all over the place. Wait. Come here, little dog. Come here. Come here. No, oh, we're late. Okay, wait. You guys have to see this. Never mind. I don't want to deprive you of this cuteness. Hey, little girl. Hey, little girl. Hey. Hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, you're so cute. Come here. Hi. Let me take that off so you can be comfortable. Oh, I know. Where's the clip? There it is. Boop. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Can you see this? I don't know. Good girl. Good girl. Here you go. Good girl. Oh, what's wrong, honey? Right. Good girl. Good girl. Uh-oh. You're going to trap me. You're going to trap me in with the snuggles. Alright. Find a place to lay down, little dog. Find a place to lay down. Good girl. Now she's all wound up. Whoopsie doodle. Whoopsie doodle. That's all I got for you, honey. You gotta lay down. She's like, absolutely not. I will not lay down. Pay attention to me, human. Pay attention to me. There she goes. There's my little dog doing her little dog stuff. Lay down, little dog. Lay down. She does not wish to lay down. Anyways, that's that guy. Talking about... And it's funny because when I watched this video, when it first came out, like, there were 6 comments, and then, like, the 5th one was like, did we really need a video for all this? Really? Who doesn't know this already? And I was like, you know, if you have to be told what missionary position is, you might be not ready for choking techniques, you know? If you don't know that, maybe the follow-up shouldn't be, anyways, here's how to slap someone on the pussy during sex. Like, what the heck? Okay, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Are you just gonna lay? I think she's gonna just lay right there. Here we go. Alright, bandit interlude completed. We will now moving on to the next portion of the event. My partner's parents met at the grocery store they both worked at, so he likes to say I'm a Kroger brand item. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's a suitable dad joke right there. Oh, did she go back to the bed? Oh, no, she didn't. I'm just seeing my my preview of the stream is behind schedule. Why are people like Blair White and Matt Walsh going after littles? Most littles don't view it as an identity. I don't fully know. I have a theory I've kind of been thinking about, and I don't know how to completely articulate this, so like bear with me for a second here. I think that there are a high proportion of trans women that are ABDLs and littles, as in a lot of ABDLs and littles are either cis men or trans women. Like, based on research I've seen about this, particularly for ABDLs, I don't know about littles, but a lot of them are trans women. And Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire and all those other people that are getting up in arms about littles, you know, Blair White, etc., they are typically very critical of trans women. And even if they're like supportive of like trans people exist, they're very much like trans people have to be this exact, very acceptable way. And any deviation of that is, no, can't be done. Disgusting, degenerate, delete it, get rid of it, awful, hate it, disgusting. And so I think they have a very definition of like what is like, even at like 1, trans women existing, 2, they have to be very acceptable. So I think they're kind of connecting trans people, queerness, and BDSM all together. And this isn't really surprising to me because I think we started to see this even a couple years ago with like Kink at Pride discourse. You know, every June we get that lovely Pride at, you know, Kink at Pride discourse, and always fear mongering about like, oh my God, look at these horrible people. They are corrupting the youths. They are degenerate. They can't be trusted around our kids, and like connecting queerness and or transness with BDSM and kind of making this inference that people are trans or queer as like a sex thing, and it's like a sexual fetish deviation thing, and the ABDL or the little part of it is kind of another manifestation of like proof of their trans identity being a kink or a fetish thing and not a legitimate identity, as opposed to just like you're a trans person and you also happen to like this thing. Or the case for a lot of trans people, especially trans women, is you didn't get to go through the childhood or especially the puberty that maybe you wish you would have gone through instead. And so things like age role play allow you to be able to access a different narrative for yourself and a different story for a time being. But they all seem to have this idea, and this is kind of the main contention I have with Blair's video that like keeps coming up over and over and over again, is Blair acts like anyone who's into DDLG or roleplay or ABDL, any of that, believes that they're like a child trapped in an adult's body. That like it's not just role play or fun or dressing up. It's like she thinks everyone who does stuff like that is like this is why it was such a big bother for me, is she did this exact same thing in the video from like 2 years ago about pet play, where she was saying pet players, you know, this person's a trans dog, they identify as a dog in the way that I identify as a woman, like this is horrible, this is awful, like they're trying to connect themselves to LGBT plus culture for acceptance and yada yada yada. And that wasn't what happened. Like this person even responded to Blair directly and was like, I am not a trans dog. I don't think I'm a dog trapped in a human body. It's just like a fun role play thing. And that did not stick in any of their minds. And so alas, we have the same situation now, but with littles and age players more generally and adult babies and diaper lovers, that the reason they're into all that stuff is because they think they're a toddler that's been trapped in an adult body, and it's they're inferring it's like a trans age thing, when no one in any of the videos, in any of the examples, only one of them, and there's like 6 in the video, and then 8 if you count the 2 in the thumbnail that aren't in the video, there is one person who even says the phrase "I identify" in her video. And they say, like, they said that, like, I think they say I identify as like a 6-year-old. But like in the BDSM context, we can clearly know that what they mean by that is my age play role I take on is I'm a 6-year-old. And that's what that means. Like that's in the BDSM world that I'm a part of in my community spaces. Like it would not be unusual for somebody, like when you ask like, oh, what role play do you do? Or like, you know, what age do you role play as? Like, oh, I identify as a 6-year-old. I identify as like an 8-year-old. Or like with pet play, you'd say I identify as like a husky or a golden retriever. Like this stuff isn't like, it doesn't mean that you think you're like a different species than what you were born as. It just means that you like doing a certain type of role play in a certain way, and you have taken on that role in a certain respect. Like I don't like, it's very strange to me. So I think they're just fear mongering over queer people bad, trans people bad. BDSM is this big, direct, visually like oh, what the heck? Okay, there was a super chat for like a hot second and then it just went away. Oh, Blair doesn't understand cross-dressers exist. Maybe the word cross-dresser kind of censored it for a second there. That was weird. I don't know what happened with that. Maybe they don't like the word cross-dresser. Yeah, she is something else. I don't know like how much it's worth kind of dwelling on like what Blair White actually thinks. And this is my own speculation. And I'm not sure how true this is or like what she actually thinks. I think that Blair kind of is just willing to go along with whatever her audience says is true, just for the sake of it. Just because it's easier to go, well, my audience is telling me these people are all degenerate perverts and they're trans age and I think they're literally not only are they a man pretending to be a woman, air quotes, but they're also an adult pretending to be a child, and all of that is bad and gross and evil and awful. And that's what my audience is saying, so I'm just going to go along with it. And I think Blair is like a deeply incurious person, and she's not really willing to do research into things she doesn't understand. And when they don't conform to her existing worldview, she kind of just rejects it and goes, well, that's not what I think. And then just like, you know, who cares about the lived experience of other people besides yourself, you know? I really feel like that's her attitude. She just doesn't care. And like, she's okay with getting things wrong or like painting people with a broad brush or just like literally outright lying about people for the sake of like views, because she always knows her audience is going to support her. She doesn't care about the broader LGBT plus community or other trans women or anyone else. She doesn't care about any of their opinions because she has the attention of people at places like the Daily Wire or Steven Crowder or whoever else. And that's, you know, she's banking on that. She doesn't really need anyone else to like her or agree with her opinion. So she doesn't really care about getting things wrong, which is obviously dangerous. Yeah, it's complicated. And of course, obviously, just for the record, though there is a correlation between you know, there being a lot of, like, ABDL in particular is, like, a very male-driven fetish in the sense that, like, almost every fetish is kind of, like, primarily for the interest of men. And, like, men just tend to be the ones that have more fetishes than cis women do. But certainly, obviously, a lot of trans people that also have fetishes and have interest in things. And I don't know, just like the weird sort of like, oh my god, look at these degenerate perverts and their gross, disgusting BDSM, and they need to be arrested. Like, they're very harsh about it as well. And this is like kind of part of my reluctance to endorse a lot of the like vigilante justice channels on YouTube, is they get very confused about the differences between like an adult that enjoys stuffies and like likes to dress up in a tutu and an adult that wants to harm children. And this is a very big part of the video. I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but a pretty significant part of Blair's video is saying that people are trans age, as she terms it, in order to, as an adult man, am I saying that rightly? Do I say that the right way? What does that mean? What am I trying to say? Let me think about this for a second. Blair's assumption in the video that she just confidently makes with zero evidence to back it up, literally not even a screenshot, no evidence whatsoever, is that the reason why people are, again, trans age, littles, ABDL, age regressors, she literally lumps everything between ABDL fetishists and age regressors all together in like one giant umbrella. So that's great. People love that. She basically considers all of that to be trans age, and that the reason you are trans age is to get access to minor children. No evidence for this. There's no nothing.
Ankly19 donated $5. I've always heard of alpha males, but how far into the alphabet does it go? I definitely know my husband's not an alpha. I get used as a teddy bear when he's not on the ship.
As far as like formal, like a manosphere terminology goes, I think we have alpha, beta, omega, and sigma males. In the BDSM community, we only really use alpha, beta, and omega for like a specific type of role play, typically sort of informed by Omega-verse and more like kind of primal animalistic role play stuff. It's not really actually all that connected terminology-wise. I'm not really sure if there's like kappa males. Would that be funny? They were like, what are the other Greek letters? What are some of the other Greek letters we could have? That would be funny to have, like, zeta males, theta males, iota males, kappa males, omicron males, mu males, nu males, tau males, ellipson males. We don't have gamma males, actually, or delta males. You think those ones would be on the up to bat pretty quickly, but no. Lambda males, pi males, Chi males, yeah. Bro males. So many males. So many undiscovered males we don't have yet. We could just invent these terms, you know. We could just decide this is what this means. We have the power. We could do it. Tiny ball form. She's currently in her tiny ball form. Like Sonic when he's about to go really fast. Oh, it was the extra number of eyes that caused the thing to get blocked. Okay, well, that happens sometimes. I think I saw something about alpha males, like a different question. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, I asked the question about like the Blair White and identities. Alpha males is one of the topics in general. How far into the alphabet does it go? Yeah, like I said. Yeah, just to be clear, it sort of like bounces around the alphabet. but it's not really a thing. Like in BDSM, we don't really use the term alpha male unless it's like, again, like an omega verse, alpha, beta, omega, like primal play, animal role play kind of a deal. But when I say alpha males in like the title, what I'm referring to is like Andrew Tate and people like him kind of using BDSM as a convenient shield for their bad behavior. And I feel like this is a point that I thought I explained it pretty well, but I feel like it didn't fully get across to people, is the reason I made the Andrew Tate video that I did, which you haven't watched it, you should. The reason I made it is because when I look on YouTube for dominance and submission, all of the most recent videos, even some of the most popular ones, are all from like alpha male podcaster, men's rights activists, pickup artist channels that are telling you how to be a dominant man with a submissive woman, and inherently connecting dominance with masculinity and being an alpha male and being a woman with femininity and submission, which obviously I have a problem with, not only because I don't think you can connect dominance and masculinity and femininity and submission, because obviously there are a shit ton of pro-doms that would love to disagree with you about that. And obviously submissive men as well that are hyper fucking masculine. Like, oh my god, some male submissives out there, they're fucking, I guarantee you, at any powerlifting competition, 20% of the men there are submissive bottoms. Guaranteed. I'm very confident in that. Like, a lot of very, like, outwardly masculine looking people are very submissive. It just happened. It just happened. So I don't like it from that front. But also, not only that, it's stereotyping with gender. That's incorrect. It is causing confusion for people that are trying to find BDSM terminology and a more consensual BDSM approach to a DS relationship, but finding alpha male podcasters and nothing but that if they're looking for it. That's obviously dangerous in my mind. And then also, Andrew Tate in particular has shown multiple times that him, his associates, his followers, everyone else is more than happy to say it was just kinky sex. It was just BDSM. It's just a kink thing. You wouldn't get it. Whenever their behavior is questioned in the way that they act towards women, in any way, right? It could be calling someone an ethnic slur while beating them with a belt on camera. It could be not being truthful about the number of partners you're currently sleeping with. It could be about trafficking them into working in, the camming industry. It could be any of that. It could be different things. It could be randomly choking somebody in the bedroom. It could be, and a triggering word here, I'm going to talk about SA for a brief second here. It could be something even so far as saying that, like, I like raping women. And that would just be taken as, oh, it was just BDSM. It was a joke. It was a kink thing. You wouldn't get it. You're too vanilla. And it's like, saying that you enjoyed raping somebody and you liked it even more when they liked it less, and the context for that story as told by the other person is that they didn't like it and it wasn't role play, that's not BDSM, that's just outright abuse and assault. So I'm very defensive over people who try to use our community and our terminology as a shield. And they're not taking in any of the ethics of BDSM, any of the concern for consent or safe words. They don't believe in safe words. Andrew Tate does not believe in negotiation or safe words or saying no. He thinks that anytime you are with a woman sexually, you are in a 24/7 total power exchange relationship with her. And that is the only way to have a true relationship with a woman, is a 24/7 total power exchange relationship. Like, it's just wild. It's just like, what? No. Like, even if you did, and I said that in the video, even if you do get to that point, you get to that point eventually. You build that up with the basis of respect and trust. And these people are not coming into being a dominant man or being a submissive woman as an ongoing process based in consent and respect and like a basis of egalitarianism first, and then becoming unequal through negotiation. It's men are supposed to be this way, women are supposed to be this way. And as far as I can remember, manosphere types, MRAs, pickup artists, any of those people, before Andrew Tate, none of them described this as like dominance and submission. That is very much something that Andrew Tate and like that kind of wave of this brought into that language. Because before, they would just say alpha male, right? They would say alpha male, sigma male, leader, powerful man, you know, top 1% of men. Like they would use those kind of terms to describe the role you were supposed to be in, not dominant, submissive. And now that's kind of become much more prevalent. So I am aware that Andrew Tate is not saying this is what BDSM is, but he is most definitely using BDSM terminology to obscure his actual intentions and feelings, because he's relying on the public's general misinformation and misconceptions about BDSM to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt about like, oh, it's a kink thing, oh, it's a BDSM thing, oh, we wouldn't understand it, he's just being kinky, whatever. And kind of people taking what he's saying at face value because, oh, it was just BDSM, when that's not obviously what a lot of that was. Now, I am sure that Tate does certain BDSM things in the bedroom with partners. He does not like women for women. He does not like having regular, non-power oriented sex. He interacts with women to get power from them, to have power over them. And I'm sure for women that he is with, at least some of the time, that is an enjoyable experience. But for a lot of them, it's not. And that's when it's a problem. That is absolutely when it's a problem. When you are getting people that are using this terminology on purpose to, out of other people's ignorance, get the benefit of the doubt in order to also not only that, but also attract people that you probably think are more likely to put up with your bullshit, right? We've seen this time and time again in dating apps, on FetLife. I am sure that if you are a submissive femme individual online, you have had this as a kinky person. Men that pretend to be dominant when they are not, using that label and that terminology in order to attract people they think will be easier marks, essentially, for getting nudes, having risky sex, hookups, no strings attached relationships. Like, there are a lot of men who think the strategy is to look for the freaky, kinky chicks because they're gonna give you a blowjob whenever you ask. And that's obviously not, like, sorry, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder than that if you want to hold my attention, other than just asking for a blowjob, you know? But yeah, it's just very, that's why I was so adamant about it. It's like, I wasn't under the impression that Andrew Tate was attempting to do BDSM and being bad at it, or that that's his misunderstanding of what he thinks BDSM is. I think he is, in a very calculated and understanding way, using terminology to purposefully obscure what his real feelings are, and mixing together BDSM terminology with gender essentialist ideas about, you know, the roles for men and women and his misogyny, and all that all together into one giant ball that's kind of hard to disentangle. Regardless of his achievements in other areas, in BDSM, he is a misguided novice. Certainly everything that I have seen would indicate that. To be a dominant is to accept continuous learning and self-scrutiny. And that's really what kind of like not even threw me for a loop, because that would kind of indicate I was surprised. But something that I found very telling in the videos I've seen of him and people like him, Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, any of these people, is that they are fucking allergic to self-improvement. They think they like self-improvement. What they like is making money. Getting rich isn't self-improvement. You don't become a better person because you have more money. I'm so sorry. I'm going to ASMR this so I can get through this. So here's the deal. You're not a better person because you make money. Self-improvement is about things like emotional regulation and distress tolerance and being able to clearly communicate with others and developing a sense of empathy. And Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, all these other people have shown actual zero intention or desire to do any of these things. They are actually very deeply emotional and typically very wounded people that have had early, maybe bad experiences with women or with their fathers, and they make it everyone else's problem. And so, instead of instead of dealing with their own emotions, instead of trying to emotionally regulate. And I'm not talking about like stuffing your feelings down, ignoring your feelings with boxing or whatever, or MMA fights or joining the military or whatever. I'm talking about actual emotional regulation. I'm talking about actually being able to sit with discomfort for any amount of time and not explode. And from what I have seen, they don't do that. They don't act relaxed or okay. They cannot deal with any level of emotional distress or stress at all. They blow up, they yell, they go, well, I'm a man. I'm a man. That's how I get what I get. I'm a man and I get what I want. Shut up, bitch. Like, they just get they're so emotional all the time. And they rag on women constantly for being too emotional, not being logical. Meanwhile, their entire worlds revolve around avoiding like 50% of all feelings because they can't deal with them. And then when they do feel them, it's the other person's fault for making them feel that way. Like, no, it's not. It's your fault for ruminating and being like, well, what if I let you go to a concert by yourself and then there's a terrorist attack? So, like, you should just listen to me and not go. And it's like, no, that's called your anxiety controlling the relationship, my dude. It's not rational. It's not logical. It's not evidence-based, if that's what you care about, to say to your girlfriend, don't go to this concert because I have a feeling. That's the opposite of being logical. What the fuck are you, like, listen to your own guidelines. Listen to your own guidelines. I just can't. They're so emotional. They're so, like, emotionally wounded. I can't, like, how do these people with one side of their fucking mouth go, like, women are too emotional. Women make bad decisions. You can't trust women. They make decisions based on their feelings. And then with the other, they're like, their whole world revolves around their feelings and not feeling bad feelings and feeling powerful and feeling good and feeling successful and not actually being anything. They're not interested in being anything or doing anything of meaning. They want to feel a certain way. They want to feel respected. They want to feel important. They could already be respected. They could already be important, but their feelings are more important than what actually is. So anyways, ASMR rant done. Complete. ASMR rant complete. When Tate talks about dominance and submission, I usually think he's telling guys not to be so supplicative towards their girlfriends, which isn't terrible advice. I mean, can you give me a quote of when he's done that? I can't really evaluate my perspective on that without a quote. I will say, from the times that he's talked about that I've seen, and there's 50 bajillion hours of Andrew Tate, so I'm sure I've missed something. It's relationships, heterosexual, homosexual, whatever type they are. It's not about one person being more supplicative than the other. It's not about one person being more subservient than the other. Relationships should be a partnership. And my camera's shaking because I'm slapping my table. But it's not this back and forth game where it's like, I'm the man, so I have to be in power. I should be in control. And she needs to listen to me. And from what I've seen Andrew Tate say, he's very particular about the woman doesn't get to control the relationship. I get to control the relationship because I make more money because I'm a man. And he probably wouldn't even date someone that made more money than him because then he wouldn't feel powerful. So it's sort of like you're sort of creating your own like situation here. You know what I mean? Like his argument is that I should be in control because I'm a man. I make more money. I do this, that, and the other. And it's like, no, that's not like inherently how any of this works. Like you have to mutually respect your partner and work together as a team. You work together as a team to come up to solutions over issues, come up with solutions to issues. Treating relationships as a power struggle where it's one partner trying to always best the other and prove their position is never going to work to make a healthy relationship. That is the reason why BDSM involves consensual negotiated power exchange. So it's not always a struggle of who's supposed to be in authority. You talk about that first. You talk about what's going on. You don't just make assumptions. You don't just go, well, because I'm this gender, I'm this particular role. Like, no, you talk about it. It stunted emotional growth. It's not, okay, what does this say? It stunted emotional growth to while using toxic masculinity as a crutch. Does that mean like if it stunts your emotional growth to use toxic masculinity as a crutch? Is that what that means? I think I agree, but I don't know if I fully get that. It's just, I just don't feel like the problem in society is men listen to women too much. Like, I think that's the thing as well, right? Like, I don't think the problem is, well, you know what our real issue is here? Too many boyfriends are taking their girlfriends too seriously. Data on that, please? Where's that idea coming from? Because I can tell you that's not happened in my relationships. I've had to do a lot of, I don't even know what the word for it is, conscious breaking down of things going on in relationships as I've, gone through my years of dating. A lot of stuff, even from men who say that they're like, oh, well, I'm not sexist, I'm a liberal, I support feminism, blah, blah, blah. Like, even men like that, there's a lot of like, okay, we both have our own apartments. Why is the default that I'm always driving to you? Or, we both have, whatever, right? Like, it could be anything, but it always ends up coming down to why we're always doing things like your way. Why does your way always get kind of the definitive last answer in terms of like who's sleeping over where, who's going to visit who picks up where we're going for dinner, who does this, that? Like, it doesn't, like, when everything else is equal in terms of like driving, living situation, ability to afford like what for dinner, like when all that else is equal, why is it the case that we're still making the decision that your opinion is the best in the default, huh? Where's that coming from? I'm a heterosexual male. I can say that men tend to not listen enough. I mean, that tends to be the opinion of most men that I know that have been married for any length of time, but you know what's funny to me? Okay, I have to bring this up because I mentioned this on Twitter and it was very funny to me. So I have realized this very interesting thing about alpha male fans that I didn't fully realize until I made a video talking about Andrew Tate. And this is where it gets kind of funny. So Andrew Tate and his fans, just be clear, Andrew Tate, not married. Tristan Tate, whatever his brother's name is, not married. Both members of Fresh and Fit, not married. Pearly Things, not married. Everyone I can think of in the manosphere space, none of them are married. None of them. But all the little fans comment about how, oh, I don't see a ring on your finger. I don't see that, ringless, you're ringless, you don't have a ring on your finger. First of fucking all, if you watch my video about collaring, you would know that I've made a decision to not visually display my relationship status going forward. So, for all you know, I've been married for 6 months and none of you people know about it. So, you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, I do think that's funny because it's like, not everyone who's married wears a wedding ring, first of all. So, like, okay, sure. Yeah, like, right, no ring on your finger. And it's like taken as a gotcha. Like, oh, you're not good enough to be married. You're going to hit the wall and you're not going to be married. Oh, you're just like, you're jealous because you're not a real woman. And you couldn't even land an alpha male if you wanted to. Like, listen, I've had so many opportunities to be married. It's honestly, what are they even talking about, right? And the crazy thing is, it's because I'm asexual. I have a lower body count than they're like, oh my god, you're like a used up roasty that they're like, you're a used up roasty that can't even get married and you're like gonna be 30 soon. Ugh, like, yeah, I'm gonna be 30 in 2 years. Oh no, my life's over. Oh no, what have I done? Like, yeah. First of all, you don't know my relationship status, actually. And second of all, I have a lower body count than pretty much anyone on any of these podcasts does. Because I'm asexual. And I don't have vaginal sex, like, with anyone. So. No, I'm not saying I am married. I'm saying that, like, if I was, like, nobody would know. Because I decided I didn't want to display my relationship status, like, visually to, like, my whole audience. Thank you for the mazel tovs, but no. I will pass that along to my sibling who is married and did have a Jewish wedding ceremony, though, so I'll pass that along to them. I'm just saying it's funny that people will say on the internet, they're like, oh my god, you're not even married, it's so gross. And it's like, I'm a stranger on the internet. How the fuck do you know what my relationship status is? Like, how do you know that? How do you know? Oh my god, guys. Okay. So they were like insulting me over not having a ring, but then like none of these fucking dickholes are married either, so it's like, what do you want? Like, what? Am I supposed to be married? You're not married. What does it count? And so I realized there's sort of this weird double standard of like alpha males are supposed to not settle down. They're supposed to test women sexually. They're supposed to be sexually adventurous and have many partners and be very like egotistical and self-centered and like seek personal wealth. And then women are supposed to get married as young as possible with as low of a body count as possible to high status men, but high status men don't settle down with the women, and before they settle down with women they always have sex with them. So how are you just supposed to, like, when you're 22, you're supposed to go on a first date with an alpha male, decide I'm gonna marry this guy no matter what, and then have sex with him and be so good at it that he decides to marry you? Like, what is the pathway for success as a woman? Because either, well, if you get married, it's probably because you married a low status beta male who is willing to like acquiesce to you. And then, yeah, it's like, it's weird because it's like, okay, so if I get married, you'd probably just assume that my spouse was like a low status beta male, which like, for how do you people even know if I would marry a man? Like, making assumptions about my sexual orientation as well on top of everything else. Like, all right. So they like, okay, so if I did get married, it'd be to a low status man, but then also if I'm not married, it's because I'm too old and I'm used up and I had my slut era and now no real man who's a valuable man wants me. So what am I supposed to do? What is the pathway for women to succeed? What is the pathway for women to succeed in the alpha male universe? Because what it seems like is supposed to happen is that 90% of women are supposed to be like super slutty bimbos that have sex with alpha males and then turn 30 and then just like live their life as like a lonely old maid after they turn 30. And then 10% of women are supposed to be like chaste virginal brides that are also attractive enough and sexual enough to entertain an alpha male, but not so much that they have too high of a body count, and then they save themselves for marriage even though the alpha male doesn't, and then they get married like when they're young, but then the alpha male's old enough to want to settle down after sleeping around, and it's like, this is so confusing. Why is this the way we're doing things, where it's like this is the ideal way for people to be happy in life, and this is like the ideal way where it's like, haha, well, you're not even married, so how can you possibly be happy or fulfilled as a person? Like, okay, sure, Jan. Is that meme? That's actually a pretty good voice. Sure, Jan. All right, ready for my Midwestern acting accent, apparently. Just like, there is no way to win in this universe whatsoever. And I feel like the only way you win is by being an emotionally distant millionaire alpha male that never falls in love. But like, I guess Andrew Tate has children with people. Like, that was one of his things that his lawyers said to kind of try and get him either out on bail or to keep him from being held in custody, was like, oh, well, he has children he has to take care of. And it's like, so he has children with like multiple unwed mothers in Romania or other places in Europe somewhere, question mark? So he has a bunch of baby mamas, and he's never been married as far as I know. But don't worry, he's an alpha male that definitely is having lots of very fulfilling relationships. Absolutely. And it's like also like 50% of marriages or whatever it is end in divorce. So like getting married isn't like a ticket to happiness either. But then I guess in their logic, like if you're a woman and you get divorced, then you're the worst, because they have some like fake statistic that I've seen passed around that's not true. Where like 80% of women initiate, like 80% of divorces are like initiated by women. And then therefore that means that women are fickle about marriage and divorce or something. And it's like, did you survey why they're initiating divorces? Is that even true? I don't think it is. I don't think it's true that women are like the primary petitioners of divorce. But even if that was true, that's not like proof for like women have no consequences. Women take men's money and then have no consequences, and they just get divorced whenever they want to. Like, oh, it's so exhausting. You're gonna end up alone with cats and watching rom-coms on Netflix? Don't threaten me with a good time. Yeah, exactly. It's like most people I know that are not looking for marriage or are not on like the pathway to marriage are like very happy about that. Like they're just like, either I'm waiting for the right person and I don't care what it happens, or they're like, I know that I would be happiest with myself and my 3 dogs and whatever else, you know? Like, if alpha males think women are the problem, they don't just date other men instead. I mean, there is a subset of men's rights activists who are like, is it MGTOWs? It's one of those groups that, like, is like the weird modern male version of, like, political lesbianism, where it's like, we don't need women. We're just gonna have sex with each other. Love that for them. Glad you can have your bisexual moment, guys. Glad you can find some homosexual and bisexual acceptance there. It's good stuff. And I'm engaged, but I guess my marriage doesn't count because my fiance is a liberal and thus a beta. Yeah, exactly. It's like, even if, like, let's say, like I said before, like, theoretically, if I was married, like, they would look at my ring on my finger and then be like, wow, your poor husband. Like, they would just, like, they would insult whoever. Like, they would just go down, like, all right, insult number 1, doesn't have a ring. Insult number 2, she does have a ring. Insult her spouse. Insult number 3, she's a widower. Tell her that her fucking dead spouse is better off anyways. Like, they would just go through the list of, like, oh, if I was married, then like option 3B is like insult her for not having kids. Option 4C, like when she does have kids, is tell her that her kids are ugly. Like, there's an unlimited pathway of potential insults to where I'm not living up to their expectations, and no woman, especially any woman online who is critiquing them, could possibly live up to. And they expect me to care. They expect me to be like, oh, wow, you're right. I'm not married. I need to fix that immediately. I need to fix that before I hit the wall and no man wants to have anything to do with me ever again. I'm just going to cry myself to sleep with my cute dog and be like, wow, would my life be so much better if I had a man in it? Wouldn't my life be fixed if I just had... What do they expect exactly? Marriage and 5 kids, but also a man who's not monogamous to me and will cheat on me and ignores me to work all the time? Yeah, sounds very fulfilling. Like, I think they just think the only thing women get out of relationships with a man is money and, like, financial stability. Like, the reason why, as a woman, you would marry a man is to have access to his wealth and, like, financial stability and maybe, like, some social ladder type stuff. It's so sad. They don't think love is real. They don't think that you can actually love somebody of the opposite sex. It's wild. Also, some just only have transactional sexual encounters, avoiding dating entirely. Yeah, that's another MGTOW thing they'll do, is they just, like, got another notch on my bedpost. But then it's like there's no emotional content to it. I've been engaged twice, not really looking for a third one to fall through. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's also like, oh, I don't know. People are just something else. I hope that one day these, like, alpha male people, maybe not, like, the leaders of it, but I hope their followers at least, like, genuinely, I hope they get out of this, like, mental space they're in and find some actual happiness, you know? They think all men want to have 5 kids. Well, this is the thing, right? They're both the current state of men's like MGTOW, MRA, pickup artist, alpha male culture. It's both like religious fundamentalism, conservative family values for women, combined with slut era pickup artist stuff for men. And they're trying to like weirdly fuse these two together, where women are supposed to be chaste and godly and stay at the home and not work and raise children and, you know, maybe go on little shopping trips and get her nails done and her hair done. And like, that's her lot in life. Like, she's not supposed to work or have a career or go to school or have a degree. She is supposed to be essentially like the child raiser, the child haver, and then like pick up around the house. She's supposed to be a live-in maid and like, you know, a baby factory, and that's it. So it's very like religious fundamentalism and conservatism on that front for women. You know, like they don't even frame it like religious fundies will be like, you know, it's impure to have sex before marriage. It sullies you. It ruins the perfect union that was intended by God for man and woman and blah, blah, blah. And they'll say stuff like that. And it goes both ways, right? Because men are also supposed to abstain from sex. So it's weird, but on a certain level, religious fundamentalists have less of a double standard than Andrew Tate does or like alpha males do for relationships between men and women, which I find very, very interesting. Because you will get that sentiment from fundies about like you are supposed to remain pure until marriage and like you can't sully that, and that goes both ways for men and women, although I think it's typically conceived of as being more damaging for the woman and less so for the man for whatever reason. But it is still there that there is that mutual expectation, and ideally you are supposed to be a virgin and you have to like seek forgiveness if you've done anything else outside of marriage. But for alpha males, they both expect like a low body count, but it's not because it's like an impurity, it's a sin before God, like a religious spiritual issue. They don't want women to have too many sex partners because they don't want her to be corrupted by other men in like a very physical, material, like of this world kind of concern way. But then also, and this is like peak irony that they don't understand why this could possibly be the case, but they're like, oh, well, you can't marry a woman that's had too many experiences or is too old because then she's going to be, you know, bitter and jaded about her experiences and her dating life. I wonder why. Can we think of any reasons why a woman who's 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 might be a little bit more bitter about dating than a 22-year-old? What in our culture possibly could lead to somebody being bitter and jaded a little bit about dating by their late 20s after 10 years of dating experience? What could that possibly be? Could it be the alpha males? Could it be the alpha males telling people to treat people like fucking Kleenex and body shaming women for any reason, and also telling them to not have a career, but then also get married young, but then also not expect their partner to be monogamous to them, but also all this other shit? Like, could it possibly be the attitude of men like this causing women to feel sour about dating? The solution for this is not date and marry young women when you decide you want to settle down. It's stop torturing women when they are young, so when they're older, they can have more fulfilling relationships. So they apparently cannot understand why a woman who's older might feel jaded about dating. And it's like, yeah, it's because when I was young, I was the target of your advances as an alpha male because you wanted to use me for your status of feeling better about yourself because you were able to have sex as a 39-year-old man with a 22-year-old. Like that, like, yes, when you as an alpha male are promoting the use of women as Kleenexes and oranges to make juice out of, they are going to feel used up and bitter when they're older, when they are trying to settle down. Seems pretty an obvious connection to me. Matt, get married at 16. Walsh has entered the chat. I fucking hope not. He's wild. I heard this bit ago, alpha men are like alpha software, full of bugs, very fragile, and not suitable for the public. Needs a lot of work and development. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's good. Yeah, it's very strange. I think that was kind of what I wanted to say about alpha males, because I kind of got off on that topic of, like, you know, dating and expectations. Oh, it was like the funny thing, right? Like, women are supposed to have these, like, almost like religious fundamentalist values towards sex, but then men are supposed to be in their fucking slut era alpha male, you know, having an orgy with 10 prostitutes from Budapest, like, doing all this, like, debaucherous sexual stuff. But then it's not supposed to affect their ability to get married or find a partner, because it sullies women to do that, but it doesn't sully men. Isn't that really weird? Like, what? Okay, why is it bad for women, but it's not bad for men, you know? There's actually a really good, like, funny post that goes around on Twitter occasionally that I've seen, where they will say, what is it that it says on it? I'm trying to send her the dog. There we go. It's like a, you know, the usual thing that, like, I don't even know what the first image is that they use, but, like, there's sort of this popular image that gets passed around in, like, incel spheres of, like, this is a woman's vagina before she's had sex, and it's like a really nice pile of, like, freshly roasted, like, turkey or, like, ham or whatever, and then by the end of it, it's like, this is a woman after she's had 5+ sex partners, and it's like a used up, like, nasty piece of roast beef. That's where the term roasty comes from, by the way. And then there's the analogous version for men is like, here's a man before having any sexual partner. It's like a really like girthy, thick, like kielbasa, like German sausage, you know, like a nice girthy German dinner sausage. And then the middle one is like, here's a penis after 2 to 3 sexual partners. And it's kind of like a normal kind of looking, like, you know, a little bratwurst maybe, like a little bit of like a larger hot dog, but smaller than the first one. And then the last one is like, here's your penis after 5+ sex partners. And it's like a really shriveled up, like sad looking hot dog. And it's like, except don't forget, women shouldn't do sex work. But it's also like their whole business model is based on exploiting women for sex work, right? Like, you could find women who want to do cam work, who enjoy being in the sex industry, but they don't do that. They coerce girlfriends into doing sex work when they wouldn't do so otherwise. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know what's going on. I just kind of wonder, like, what's the end game for the alpha males? Because as far as I can tell at this current point, they're basically in denial. They're basically in denial about Andrew Tate being arrested and probably hurting a lot of people and using them for his own financial gain. They kind of just are like, oh, well, it's not wrong. He's being persecuted. It was just kink stuff. It was consensual. And they're just, I don't think they're gonna, I don't know if there's a verdict if they'll accept it. I kind of wonder. Like, I think some of them will accept that he was guilty or found guilty. Oh, hi, little dog. Let me get that big on. I think some of them will accept that he was guilty, but I don't know if they will take it as, like, proof that he did anything wrong. I think probably the more likely outcome is they'll go, well, like, he was convicted, he was found guilty, but it was because of, like, some weird technicality in the laws. It was because his, you know, the mafia was after him. It was because of Romanian corruption. It was because this, that, and the other, right? They'll probably come up with all kind of excuses for that. So I don't really know what they're going to do after Andrew Tate is kind of off the radar for a while and how it's going to affect things. But like somebody, like if Andrew Tate ends up like actually being put away and he can't make money and he can't pay the people that are running his socials anymore, like what happens? You know, who takes that place? Who? Because there's going to be a vacuum of people who are reliant on that worldview and want that content. And I don't know who's going to come after that. Because it's going to be someone, right? And I don't know if they're going to be different, worse, better. I don't know what. But it's happening. It'll happen. And I don't know what will end up being the outcome of all this, honestly. Andrew Tate complaining about Romania's shitty criminal justice system after moving there for shitty criminal justice. I know, right? Like, but the thing is that like, oh yeah, and the Matrix. Oh, I forgot about the Matrix. I shouldn't. It's because I'm in the Matrix. I forgot about it. I forgot I was in the Matrix. Yeah, it's like that whole like I'm trapped in the Matrix, but they don't even know like have they even watched the movie? Do they even really know what the Matrix is? Are they just making shit up at this point? Honestly, I don't know. I think they might be. Making up shit about the Matrix. Like, okay, you went somewhere to explain something, but they would say that, no, I went there to, oh. Okay, my Google's trying to, nope, Google, stop. Nope, sorry, my Google on my phone got activated for some reason. I don't know what I did. But, like, they'll be like, oh, no, I was going there to exploit this thing in the law, but because I did, they went after me really hard, and they wouldn't normally do that, but they had to, like, prove a point or whatever, and it's like, sometimes you're just guilty, sometimes you just do something wrong. I do wonder if they're going to have him do a psych evaluation, and if that's ever going to be public knowledge. I don't know how Romanian courts work, so I don't know if like psych evals are like a routine part of like a criminal thing. I'm not sure. Well, that's Andrew Tate. Sorry for the extended Andrew Tate rant. I wasn't expecting that, but I have a lot of feelings. But unlike Andrew Tate and alpha males, I'm willing to work through my feelings and talk about them out loud and process them and then not hang on to them for years. I had somebody who told me I was gaslighting Andrew Tate. I, personally, me, Evie Lupine, was gaslighting Andrew Tate because when he said that it would, what did he say? It was like, if you don't listen to him, it's going to stick in his brain and he's going to bother him. It's going to fester in his brain for years. And when I said that that was an unhealthy mentality to have, to hold on to something for years until eventually it like comes out in an argument, me saying that that is unhealthy is gaslighting. Like, no, I acknowledge it happens. I'm not doubting that he does that. I believe that more than almost anything else he's ever said on a podcast, that he holds on to grudges and perceived slights. However, just because something is true does not mean it should be. Does not mean it's good or ought to be normalized. You can most certainly have your feelings, be hurt about something. Holding on to a petty thing for 2+ years to whip it out during an argument is not a healthy way of having a relationship. You gotta process your feelings, or you end up like Andrew Tate. It's gonna be my new threat for people that don't want to think about feelings. Do you want to be like Andrew Tate? I didn't think so. Let's get to some questions. I'm so sorry. I haven't gotten to like any questions today. I am going to try to get to a couple though. Yeah, I know. I'm like the chief gaslighter. I'm the biggest. Look at my. Look at me. I'm a feminist gaslighter. Lies about Andrew Tate on camera. I can just see the clip now. I can just see the clips creating themselves. I think their endgame is Handmaid's Tale, or not Handmaid's, sorry, Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, but I don't know if they'd actually want. I don't think they want kids or responsibility, though, is the thing. I don't really think most alpha males actually want a family or responsibility. They want to have their slut area. They want to have their slut era and sleep around and have. They want to have money and travel the world and have sex with lots of women. They don't actually want to have a family. So I don't think they actually really want that. I think they want women to be in The Handmaid's Tale. And then they want to be in, I don't know, some other secret movie that I don't know about that involves men being free from women while also subjugating women. As for the why have kids, some are really into the new white supremacist theory of underpopulation. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're so right. That's so right. Yeah, a lot of them are like, we have to repopulate the white race so we don't get taken over by minorities. Roosh V plus the Catholic Church. I mean, I don't even think Catholics are that bad, honestly. It's the Protestant fundies that usually get real wild with it, you know? Endgame, I believe, is ultimate alpha control, total society. Yeah, probably that. I don't know how successful he's been at creating a cult, though. I feel like he has been, but I don't know if it's gonna stick, you know, past him. Or is it one of those things where he's gone, and then it's, you know, people move on and figure out that they got scammed. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. Oh, I did get out. I was in that stuff for a while. What clicked for me was exactly that none of them had actually fulfilling relationships, no matter how long they've been doing it. I think that that's really the key. And I think that they will tell you that they, like, I could have a relationship if I wanted to. I just choose not to because I want to sleep around and be with anyone I want to be with. But, like, I think when you really look at them for a long time, you realize that their lives are very emotionally hollow. Like, yes, they have the cars and the houses and the prestige and whatever else, but they don't actually have a life. They kind of just sit in their big house alone. And they drive to dates and they sleep around, but it's not filled with anything. It doesn't have any meaning because they don't allow themselves to be emotionally vulnerable. They don't allow people into their lives emotionally because that would ruin the whole thing, right? That would ruin the whole alpha male shtick. But alas, they are doomed to unhappiness until they choose otherwise. What do you mean? I was raised Catholic. Okay, first of all, don't tell me about, like, I haven't met many Catholics. I was raised Catholic. Baptized, confirmed, all that shit. And I have many devout Catholic family members, and I've been in the South. I've been around Southern Baptists, and I can tell you, based on my experience with both groups of people, the Catholics I've been around are way more chill than the fire and brimstone Protestant Southern Baptist Calvinist preachers. I'm not saying that they're, like, good. I'm not saying that the Catholic Church is blameless or, like, a fine religion and never does anything bad. But I will say there are some aspects of Catholicism that at least are somewhat more decent and lead to more decent people. Like good works counting towards your ability to get into heaven. Protestants don't believe in that. They believe in faith alone and grace alone, and predetermination, some of them as well. And, you know, they like to collect money from their poor congregants and then buy yachts and boats and private airplanes. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm talking when I say Protestants, I mean like Southern Baptist, Calvinist. I'm talking about fundamentalist Protestants versus like conservative Catholics. Like I would say the main difference is Catholics make you feel guilty and Protestants make you feel scared. Would be the main difference. Catholics make you feel guilty, like you have to repent for everything, and Protestants make you feel like anything you do is going to send you directly to hell and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Like that's my interpretation of it. Pray to God because I can't hear you on my yacht. Yep, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And again, I'm not saying that any of that shit's like good or that like Catholics are blameless. I'm just saying from like what I know I have my preference, and trad cats are certainly their own flavor. Although I will find that most people that are trad cats are like, they weren't born Catholic. Like the Liberty Hangout people, you remember her? She was like the Liberty Hangout girl, was the one who like brought guns to her college graduation. Yeah, I think she converted to Catholicism after marrying a Catholic person after being raised Baptist or something. And it's like, unless it was at a cathedral for like a really formal mass, like if it was like Christmas Eve mass, that would be the only time you'd see anybody in a chapel veil. And like these fucking like trad casts that are converted from Protestantism, they will wear veils to church and like bring. I'm like, oh my god, no, my grandmother doesn't do that. What? Yeah, was it the diaper girl, or was she the one who like shit her pants at the party? I think was that both? I don't know. Both of those. Flop over. Hmm. I think Tate doesn't take himself as seriously as people think. He is begging to be challenged and disproved, an adolescent mentally magnified or mentality magnified. But who would challenge him though? Do you think? Like who does he want? Who's his fantasy to challenge him? Like when Andrew Tate is sleeping alone at night in his cell and he's like, I just wish somebody would disprove all of my theories. Who does he fantasize about debunking him? What does he get horny over? That's what I want to know. Not in general, but just over that particular idea. I've also had men disregard my marriage before because apparently I will want them more than my literal husband. No, people are. God, it just doesn't matter. Again, there's no winning. The only way to win being a woman near the alpha male sphere is to not engage. And that's why I feel bad for Pearl, is because I think she's really invested in getting male attention. Because I think she's not like conventionally attractive. She's really tall for a woman, which most alpha males find unappealing. She was really athletic growing up. She's kind of a tomboy. She's not like really traditionally feminine, I think, or at least wasn't, and now she's kind of trying to be. And I feel like she wants male attention so badly from this very specific set of toxic people that she's kind of willing to go along with whatever they say in order to get attention. And I hope that someday she gets away from that and like realizes she deserves better and like, you know, to like people like Fresh and Fit think that the female orgasm is irrelevant. Like they borderline don't believe in female orgasm. Like of all of the things, like there's so many videos in the alpha male sphere about like best sex positions, how to get a woman to come 50 times in one evening. Like there's all these videos about like men developing sexual skill, and then like sort of the upper limit of male, what am I thinking of? Like, you know, like just general like manosphere content are like a bunch of fucking dudes that don't believe in giving women orgasms. Either that it's impossible, it's too much work, it doesn't matter, why would I care? Like, goddamn, you're the only reason women would ever want to be with you is to go on an expensive date and then get some dick. And you're telling me that you're gonna buy her steak and then she's not even gonna get to come afterwards? Like, come on, dude. Like, the only reason. Because you're not going to settle down. You're not going to be monogamous. You're not going to have a family. You're not going to treat her with respect. You're not going to be emotionally available. You're not going to be her friend. You're not going to respect her as a human being. You're not going to treat her as an equal. You're not going to do any of that stuff. The only thing you're going to do is buy her steak and drive her in a fast car. Come on now. Come on now. That's not how it is. She reminds me of the worst kind of groupie, one that worships the worst, most toxic kind of men and male behaviors. It's like an unfortunate subset of women. I feel bad for them. They only care about female orgasm for bragging rights, but to actually pleasure. Oh, yeah. That's a whole other subset of issues, is like men that will brag about like, I always make sure the woman comes. But it's like the reason they brag about it is to make themselves seem more like a man. Like, it's sort of like, I care about what I can make you do with your body because then that makes me seem more skillful and that makes me seem better. Not actually because I really care about your pleasure, or because caring about your pleasure gives me bragging rights, which is a whole different thing. But as far as I can tell, they don't even care about that. They don't even care about that. They just are like, I don't care. I could give a woman an orgasm at any time, but I choose not to because I don't give a shit. Like, that's their attitude. Also, you're right. I did forget about the Bugatti. I forgot about the Bugatti. My Bugatti is silver. That's what color my Bugatti is. The one that's in the garage right now. I don't have a Bugatti. I mean, wouldn't it be really funny, though, if I could just completely stunt on these guys by, like, driving around in a Bugatti in, like, the intro of my next video responding to them? Wouldn't that be funny? Actually, right. You know, my Bugatti would be black. But the thing is, I don't want a Bugatti. I would want a chauffeur. I don't want my own car. I want somebody to drive me. Having a full-time professional driver is so much more of a move than, like, getting a... How much is it? How much is a Bugatti? Like, $80,000? Bugatti? Can only say it that way now because it's so funny. How much is a Bugatti? How many more Bugattis do you think they've sold because of Andrew Tate? Okay, so it's like $1 million cars. Okay, so the cheapest Bugatti is the what would he say? The loser Bugatti would be $34,000. But there are other Bugattis that are $3 million, $5 million. It's kind of actually, like, Google's kind of giving me prices all over the place. All right, JD Power is going to tell me how much Bugattis are. Okay, so there is one that's... Okay, so the Bugatti Type 35 is $250,000. Just for the record. Why would I fucking... Even if I had enough money to spend that much in a car, why would I do that? That is a terrible investment. Why wouldn't I just hire, like, a top-of-the-line chauffeur that is literally, like, on demand 24/7, but that also drives a nice car? A super long limousine with a chauffeur for Evie. I don't even want it. I don't even want a limo. I just want, like, maybe like a really nice, like a Porsche Taycan or something. Like a really nice luxury electric vehicle, and then like a chauffeur. Imagine Evie Lupine showing us the Tamara Bugatti. She managed to fool us all. Listen, I've not even made enough money combined in my entire life to even buy the cheapest Bugatti. So I doubt that. But I appreciate the vote of confidence there. Although, like, if I lived in LA, how much would it be to take a picture next to a Bugatti? How much would it cost for me to take? Because, like, there's influencers who fake going on private jets, right? Like, you guys heard about this before? This used to be a thing. I don't know if TikTokers do it, but, like, YouTubers would sometimes, like, there was, like, a private jet you could rent that wouldn't even, like, leave the airport. It would just, like, you could just go on it and get a little thing of champagne, a little flute of champagne, and then you could pretend like you were going on a private jet somewhere, and then you could just hop off the jet, go to your, economy class, American Airlines to New York or whatever, go to LaGuardia, and then you could just pretend that you were on a first class private jet. I feel like that has to be a thing you can just do in LA, but I don't live in LA, so maybe not. The not caring about a woman's orgasm is a response to women saying they fake orgasms. It's just taking the rebuttal off the table. I mean, I guess, but, like, why do women fake orgasms? Because men pressure them to have orgasms. Do you think that's what happened to your dog? You think it's a papa? Uh-oh, we fell over. Oh, look at that. What? Okay. Soon, in 15 minutes, I will be able to pet her as much as he wants. It's like women, okay, so it's like, well, men say they don't care about orgasm because women say they fake orgasms, but women say they fake orgasms because men care too much about orgasms because they have a male-centric view of sexuality in which the purpose of a sex act is to not have a mutually pleasurable adventure together, but to achieve orgasm as a discrete, obvious thing that occurs, that once it occurs means that the sex is over. So it's like, okay, well then maybe if we just solved the problem of men pressuring women to perform sexually in a very particular way that for certain women can be difficult to impossible to achieve on a regular predictable basis, what if instead we just thought about sex as like a fun time you have with someone where you try to enjoy the experience, and that's it. Renting a Bugatti for a couple of hours would cost around $1,700. I mean, that's so cheap. I'm surprised more people haven't done that for a YouTube video, actually. Yep, it's the let's just get it over with. Let's just get it over with. I have shit to do. So you fake it because the man doesn't care about your pleasure. Yeah, exactly. It's not like he doesn't care about actually making sure you had a good time. He cares about, did I get the gold sticker at the end? Did I check the box, right? Did I check the box? And it's not about actually doing anything. What's toxic as fuck? I mean, probably a lot of this, honestly. Most of it's toxic. When I ask a girl, did you come? It's more like feedback. I want to do it again usually, so she's more likely to do that if she comes. If I didn't get her off and you do it wrong. I mean, I feel like, and this, different people will respond to this differently, but I think it is being careful with your words with anyone is pretty much always a good idea. And I think if your intention is, did you have a good time? That's a very different question to most women than did you come? God, I can only speak for myself, but in my experience, when a partner asks me, like, as a perfunctory at the end of sex, oh, you came, right? Did you come? Like, it feels like they're just trying to make sure they check the box. They weren't involved enough in the experience of knowing if I had pleasure in the moment to really know for sure. So at the end, they're like, oh, yeah, you liked it too, right? Like, you came, right? It's like, did we even have that as a goal? Did we try to make that happen? Like, if you don't treat it as the goal of the experience, but as a byproduct that might or might not happen, but it's really important that it does without any kind of discernible effort, then yeah, that might come across like you're just trying to make sure you check the box. So if the goal is like, I want to make sure my partner also enjoyed it, like you just like, how was that for you? Did you enjoy yourself? Did you meet your goals? Like, have it be more framed around, like, what does your partner want to achieve? And it's going to blow some people's minds here, but not all. I'm not saying you're phrasing it wrong. I'm just saying, I like, for anyone who watches this, who doesn't maybe think about this in any level of depth typically, which you're not blaming anyone if they don't. This is like an uncommon conversation to have, is I think it's worth to think about, like, okay, what are your goals for sex? Because not everyone cares about achieving orgasm the same way as you do or other people do. Because you could be dealing with somebody who's dealing with like pelvic floor pain, vaginismus, you know, some kind of medication that makes it really difficult for them to orgasm, which happens for men and women, for the record. They could be, maybe they have sexual trauma. Like, you could be dealing with a lot of different stuff that means that orgasm is not really the central focus of the act, but also it's not even necessarily because of like other factors. It could just be because it's like, yeah, if I want to come, I have to do like 20 different things in one position and a vibrator and this, that, and the other. But I'd much rather just enjoy the experience and the process, and like the act of the rest of it is also pleasurable and good. And I want to focus on enjoying that, not trying to achieve this like one pinnacle of experience, you know? So, did you conclude? Yeah, exactly. You want to ask, hey, did you conclude what you wanted to achieve for this scene? Yeah, exactly. Did you conclude what you wanted to have happen during this sexual experience we had together? Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so good. No, I would say something like probably, you know, just asking them about like, you know, like before the thing, right? Like, what kind of sex do you want to have? What kind of feelings do you want to have? What do you want to get out of this experience? Like, kind of get to what they're looking to have happen. And then afterwards, be like, did you have a good time? Did you enjoy that? Would you want to do it again? Like, you don't have to directly ask to make sure you orgasmed, right? Like, whoa, slow down. Slow down, buddy. Yeah, the harder you try, the harder it becomes. Yeah, like trying to force it, I think, usually puts people in this, like, more negative headspace for actually being able to achieve orgasm, and we want people to have a good time. So yeah, I'm primarily anorgasmic, so I don't want any potential partners to think there's a problem with them. Sex is more than just for orgasms. Yes, exactly. I know if I explicitly said anorgasmia, but yes, that is very much a relevant thing here. Evie, I have a question. How do you have sex after trauma? Oh, that's a big question. I'm hypersexual but never actually get anywhere, and my poor partner knows I'm faking. Not intentional, just annoying. Oh, do you mean like you can't get anywhere? Like, bear with me for a second. I don't want to misunderstand anything, and I want to make sure I answer your question because it's kind of a delicate one. When you say you can't get anywhere, do you mean you can't achieve orgasm, or you don't feel comfortable enough to have sex at all? Let me know and I'll follow up. Did thou achieve apotheosis? Did thou achieve la petite mort? Exactly. My French is terrible. Don't. It's non-existent, actually. Don't quote me on that. I couldn't invite Tay to my channel if I wanted to. He's in jail in Romania in solitary confinement. All right, new bandit cam angle. So if you want to introduce toys, how the heck do you do that? You introduce them? I mean, given this is my experience, right? And I haven't been with a partner that's been like threatened by sex toys or hasn't liked them. Any partner I've been with, gender doesn't really matter. They've all been really excited about including sex toys. They're like, oh yeah, I want to try that. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, I want you to have a good time. Let's try it. Let's do it. I think as long as you present it as like a positive, I want to have more good experiences with you. This isn't a replacement. You're not insufficient. I just want to explore deeper with you. I think that's the best way to go about it. Like, not like I'm not having a good time, so we have to have this because you're not good enough. I think some people can interpret things that way. I think if you take it more as a I really enjoy having sex with you. I want to keep having new experiences. We've gotten to explore so much. I want to keep exploring. Wouldn't it be really fun if we also tried and then the thing, right? You know, or if the conversation's already opened where you're not having the experiences you want to have sexually in terms of, you know, achieving orgasm, for example, then I think it's like, hey, I found this thing that might really be able to help us meet our goals or help us do what we want to do during sex. And like, I think it's typically more positive for the partner to be involved with them using it on you. So it feels like they're still like participating and controlling the experience. And then like, unless it's a toy that you use a lot on your own and then you can like show them how to use it on you. If you're just exploring together with a toy, I think that having it be something where you're saying what you want to have happen and they're using it on you helps them feel like it's more of an extension of their sexual expression instead of you doing something to yourself because they're not good enough to meet your sex needs. Oh, my Pomeranian turned 17 this week, and she still acts like she's 3. Oh, what a sweetheart. Oh, that's so sweet. Bendita is turning 11. I can't believe it, on March 1st. So, birthday party. Is that even a Friday this year? Let me check. Okay, it's a Wednesday. Oh, no, that's February. Okay, no, March 1st is also a Wednesday. So we'll have a little birthday party for her probably on that March 3rd. She's turning 11, and she is very much like, she's still very active, still very sprightly as we can see, but she likes a good nap. And I'm very hopeful that I will also get a beautiful 17 years with my Pomeranian because she is an absolute angel and she deserves the very best. Okay, I see the question that I was waiting for an answer to. Someone had a question about age gap CGL relationships. Okay, I'll try to get that one too. I'm sorry, we didn't really get to many questions today. We were just talking about Andrew Tate. Crave 24/7, but have panic attacks when I climax. Oh, that's that'll do it. But I also desperately need touch. It's so frustrating. My sweet partner is so patient, but I'm annoyed as hell. I mean, this is a little bit outside of my scope of expertise to deal with, especially if you experience panic attacks, like if a panic attack is triggered by achieving orgasm. Definitely a sex therapist with experience with PTSD is probably your best bet. I know that's probably not the answer you want to hear. Like, it would be easier to have a simpler solution, but I don't know your trauma history. I don't know what potential triggers are. I don't know if you have tried things like EDMR or IFS or DBT or CBT or any of the other bajillion different modalities for therapy that are out there. I don't know if you found any of them to be helpful. I don't know how recent this trauma was that you experienced. I don't know if you have regular PTSD, CPTSD, if your PTSD is sex related, if it isn't, if this is being referred to from somewhere else, if you've got other pelvic disorders maybe going on at the same time. Like, there is a lot that could be going on there, and I think with the level of complexity that is wanting BDSM, having a trauma history, and then having this particular reaction to climax probably would benefit from like a professional's insight. And I hope that your partner would be supportive in that. And I know therapy is expensive, but if you can like find a therapist, find like an ASECT certified therapist, that's the ASECT. I think it's AA. I'm going to just check the abbreviation next time. Make sure I tell you the right thing. I think it's ASECT. With a double A? Let me double check. Yeah, it's AASECT. It stands for American Association, which I'm assuming you're American and I apologize, of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. And that can be very helpful for making sure you're getting good quality, feedback and therapeutic information from the person you're seeing that's like specializing in that. And hopefully you can, if you can find a way to like save up or afford like maybe 2 to 3 like really focused sessions, that might be enough to kind of help you break through on maybe some areas and start to kind of get some ideas of work through. But PTSD is really difficult to work through alone, and it's very difficult to troubleshoot things like this on your own without triggering the PTSD, which is why I really think it's probably a good idea to be cautious and have a professional with experience in that scenario. And I don't know if anyone in the chat has any experience with like, you know, PTSD with their sexuality. If they felt like maybe, you know, sharing some of their perspective or kind words, that would definitely be a good thing to have here. Okay, you already have. Okay, already have one friend. Thank you. Okay, so you already do have a sex therapist. So are they helping you achieve what you want to see? Yeah, and seeing a gynecologist might also be a good idea. If you haven't been referred to either like a women's health nurse practitioner or somebody that specializes in pelvic pain or pelvic disorders, that could definitely be something that's also going along with this too, because sexual trauma can definitely be something that is felt and retained in the body, and maybe that might be something that's worth making an appointment or getting a referral to a specialist in. Yeah, and it could also be something where you need some like pelvic, like physical therapy. It could be a pelvic floor issue. It could be a lot of other things as well, not just the PTSD on its own. Like there could be not just psychosomatic, but also like actual somatic components to this that just talk therapy or like sex therapy alone wouldn't necessarily cover if you're not seeing a sex therapist that also does like more somatic components to their practice. But also, I think it's sort of like if it's worth examining, if there's other pain, if it's just like, there's a million questions you could ask with this, right? Like, is there other pain during sex? If there is, when does that happen? Is it anytime you have an orgasm with anyone, any position, any direction, any toy? Does it happen when you're alone? Does it happen only with partners? Does it happen all the time? Like, there's lots of questions you have to go to kind of figure out what the root of that is. I have CPTSD, and therapy has opened the world to me, but has taken some time and hard work. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. A sex worker friend helped tremendously after I was assaulted. She was neutral and took it very slow. That's so awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That can be really helpful. The therapist can help you much better than any of us can, but be patient with yourself. I know trauma is a massive pain, but you can do it. Yes, absolutely. Diagnose CPTSD and more. If you're not super comfortable getting yourself off, you definitely won't be comfortable with anyone else. Yeah, it's also definitely part of it, right? Like the I think probably the most beneficial place to start if you wanted like a subject to bring up with your sex therapist is if you are experiencing like disassociation, panic attack, anything like that with like self orgasms like masturbation, or if you don't do that, maybe it's worth trying masturbation and seeing if that produces the same result. And keeping a journal can also be really helpful, kind of trying to get a sense of like maybe what particular triggers might be happening there for the panic attacks. But it's difficult for sure, absolutely. And so I think it's just probably just going to be, unfortunately, a really slow guided process of probably getting comfortable with yourself first, then having your partner watch you, then having your partner touch you non-sexually while you do things, then having your partner touch you sexually while you do things to yourself, and then, right? It's going to be a pretty long process. Impact play helps with my anxiety as a distraction mentally, but I would definitely not jump into trying things like that right away if you aren't sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think introducing any kind of like physical stuff on top of a PTSD situation that I don't know anything about, I wouldn't necessarily leap to give a recommendation to, but it can be helpful for some people. But yeah, I think just sort of that's my perspective on it, is I think it takes a really long time to, you know, work through everything and be consistent. But I think if you do take it really slowly with a supportive partner, you absolutely have every opportunity to get back to a more positive experience or have a more positive experience for the first time, right? It's totally on the road there, completely on the table. And thank you so much for everyone sharing those stories. Absolutely. I think that was really helpful. Okay, I'm going to try really quickly to get to that age gap question. 35-year-old man and a 19-year-old woman age gap is pretty significant, but age gaps always come down to what the power dynamics are that are involved, and not normally the literal age. I mean, I guess the question is sort of like, as I do think I remember seeing it briefly, was that like, is that too big of an age gap? Which is obviously very difficult. Oh, you love the Mendita cam? I'm glad you like it. I'm glad that you like her camera. She's very snuggly. She's a very good little. Just like if you get stressed out, look at the dog. And she's there for you. She's there for me. She's there for all of us. So it's very hard to make a blanket statement of this is too big of an age gap. And it really depends on where you are for like life circumstances. And I have a video about this I made a couple years ago, and I ended up just putting it on Patreon and not making it like a live public video. And my perspective on that was, when you have an age gap, you really have to evaluate where you are both at in your personal lives, right? Because a 19-year-old that didn't go to college, didn't graduate high school, is barely holding down like a part-time 20-hour-a-week job, that's dealing with like mental health issues, doesn't have a car, doesn't have family support, is living in a new city, is dealing with like, did I ever say mental health issues? Is dealing with mental health issues, and has a lot of insecurity and has no dating experience, is very, very different than a 19-year-old in a lot of respects, so not entirely different, than a 19-year-old that, has family support, has a good network of friends, is, if they do have mental health issues, they are being addressed, they have therapy, they have a support network to deal with those things as they come up, or to help make them more manageable on a daily basis. They're in school, they're on a certain pathway, they're self-sufficient, they have previous relationship experience, and they have a good sense of self and ability to like set boundaries. So one 19-year-old is not the same as the next 19-year-old. I would say it would be very difficult to have that size of an age gap, which was that 16 years? That size of an age gap without there being some element of a power imbalance that could really negatively impact it, especially if it was something where it was like a power exchange BDSM thing, which it sounds like it probably is. I'm not going to say never, and it's not the size of the age gap itself. I think it's also the lower age of the partner, because if we looked at this and then we looked at somebody who was like a 30-year-old and a 46-year-old, because that 30-year-old has over a decade, 2 decades of, well, not 2 decades, but like a decade and a half of like life experience, monetary independence, a stable either career, school background, like the ability to be self-sufficient emotionally, socially, and financially. That is very different from like a 19-year-old that does not have access to those resources, because there is always the chance that something like this could end up turning abusive or toxic, and then the 19-year-old, because of their dependence that develops on the other person, which is what I primarily worry about, is like sort of the problematic part of a problematic age gap to me is, does it end up being a relationship where it cultivates a level of dependence such that the 19-year-old can't freely, or whoever, however old it is, wouldn't be able to freely leave on their own, right? Because maybe, they end up with this person and they are on this individual's health insurance for like their insulin, and they are borrowing the person's car to go to work. and they live together, but they could never afford the rent on their own, or the person's paying off their student loan debt, or like whatever else, right? Like all of those different things that cause you to be more intertwined that then make it harder to leave, because if we break up, I lose my health insurance and I can't afford to pay for my insulin that keeps me alive. That is a very dangerous situation to be in. Now, of course, from what I understand, you can be 26, up to 26, and be on your parents' health insurance. So there are workarounds kind of for that particular example, but like those other things are definitely very much a factor. So I think it depends on like independence, life experience, ability to set boundaries, and then like how deeply enmeshed the relationship ends up being. Yeah, it's like the lower age, not so much the gap. And like when it's two lower aged people together, like a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old, you're probably basically about the same place in life in terms of like education, career, financial independence, car, housing, all that other stuff. And so that power and balance isn't there because you're both trying to figure out how to adult together, as opposed to one person having it all figured out and one other person becoming dependent because they're relying on this other person for like important life stuff. There's more of a chance of a predatory situation if it's purely a sexual or BDSM-centered relationship. If it's also romantic, I feel different about it. IDK, love knows no age, but I mean, I always kind of feel the opposite. Like, I feel like there's lots of men who, for their own ego, want to sleep around with as young of a woman as possible and don't care about her as a person and are willing to use and abuse them sexually for the sake of their own ego and don't care about the person. So I think it's possible, like in romantic relationships with a higher level of enmeshment and entanglement, for there to be the potential for like an abuse dynamic or toxicity or not being able to leave freely. And then the opposite of like somebody just like kind of using somebody as like a cum dumpster and not treating them as a human being, because like they almost kind of don't see young people as like full adults, and so because of that they don't treat them like they're human. Like there's definitely like some men, and anyone actually, but I can only think of men as examples in my head right now. There are definitely some people that they're adults, they're older adults, they're established in life, and then they date younger people and don't kind of see younger people as full actual adult human beings and kind of treat them like toys. And that's wrong, to be clear. The gap in power, it's not always something the predator is quote unquote aware of, so we can't do much about it. That's also true. The gap in power, okay, wait, I'm married and double covered via my parents and my husband's job insurance. I mean, hell yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. The midlife crisis stereotype in men. Dude, I'm hitting that 22-year-old. Nice, right? At 40 and 50. Yeah, something like that. I might be in the minority, but I'd still be willing to help after the breakup if I could. Not like in an, okay, you owe me now way, but and I care about you and want you help way. I mean, I think that's really the best way to do it. Like if you can set something up where, let's say you are with like a much younger partner who is trying to establish themselves like financially and in their career, and you're like renting a place together. I really think like it's a good idea. Or even if they're living in a place that you own, like setting aside a certain portion of money for them, so that way they always have a way to leave. They always are going to have money to be able to get like, not renter's insurance, not a down payment, a deposit. Like a renter's insurance, like a deposit on a rental, being able to pay for rental applications, like making sure they have a nest egg to where they're always going to be safe and secure. And that's really important. I mean, I can't speak on like a 20-year-old to 40-year-old dynamic, but I can pretty closely speak to that. I've mostly dated people in their mid to late 30s, and like how that's different from somebody who's in their early 20s, and there is definitely a difference in terms of, maturity and ability level and all that. But yeah, it's complicated. I just think you have to be really, really cautious about, like, what are you taking into the relationship? What experience do you have? And just be very aware that most relationships don't work out long term one way or the other. Really, really make sure you're not compromising on your boundaries. That is so very key. Do not compromise on your boundaries. Please stick up for them, and just make sure you're really being cautious with those red flags. And that's, like, more or less the best thing you can do. And I think it's also good to evaluate, like, why is this person with me, right? Like, when they talk about wanting to date me, like, do they emphasize how cool it is to be able to, oh my God, I'm so lucky this hot 23-year-old wants to have sex with me? Or are they like, you seem really cool and we're super compatible? Like, do you have similar life goals? Do you want the same things out of life? Are they on a, do they have similar goals, right? Like, in terms of family, marriage, monogamy versus polyamory, vanilla versus kink, all those other aspects of it, right? Like, living in the city versus in the country, traveling around, settling down in one place, moving a lot. Like, do you want the same things out of life? And then also being very prepared that as you get older, from 19 to 22 to 25 to 27, that your goals in life are also going to change. And that's what I found when I was around that age and dating much older men, is that, like, a relationship was stable and that we both originally had similar life goals and wanted similar things. But as I learned more about myself and as I grew into my adulthood, I realized I wanted different things than what I initially wanted from that relationship. And so therefore, we weren't compatible anymore. Anyways, we've gone way too long during this stream. We're almost at 20 after at this point. So I hope you all have enjoyed this. Thank you for being here. I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. We do these live streams every Friday at 6 o'clock if you're just tuning in at the end for some reason. So go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I stream. A video coming out on Sunday, Blair White, Age Play, Little's DDLG. I'm not going to say it's fun, but it is a thorough debunking, and it should be entertaining if nothing else. It should be very entertaining. And also, thank you to the very cute little bandita for being on camera today and providing us with emotional support during this journey. And I will talk to y'all again soon. Bye!